When are they going to do this? I mean, where do they want to do it? Okay. Okay.
Would please silence your mobile devices. If you would please silence your mobile devices as we prepare for our meeting. Are y'all ready? Again, before we begin, if you would please silence your mobile devices. At this time, the mayor will call to order the regular city council meeting for 6 p.m. Tuesday, March the 25th of 2025, City Council Chambers, 201 East Nash Street, Terrell, Texas. I have on the dais with us this evening District 2, Donna Renee Anderson. We have District 3, Mayor Ronnie Velasquez. District 4, Stephanie Holmes Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem. And running, I think, a little late is District 5, Phil Robinson, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. At this time, I'd like to call Pastor John Russell with Bethany Baptist Church to come forward for our... Josh, is that what I said?
John.
Oh, I did say John. I'm sorry, Josh Russell, to lead us in our invocation. If you would, please remain standing for our pledges. And Josh, if you would, wait for me right there when you're done.
Okay. Our Father, we love you. We thank you and praise you this evening for your goodness and mercy, for your grace. We thank you for our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you for this privilege it is to call on your name. I ask you this evening to give wisdom, God, to give understanding. I pray that you would lead these individuals as they lead this town. And Lord, the government officials that work with the police department, the fire department, and public safety, God, that you have your hand upon them, that you protect them. I trust you, Father, and I know that you do all things well. And I pray that you would have your will and way tonight, that you would give us the right heart, the right mind, the right attitude, and everything that we do here this evening. We're trusting you to do that for your glory and for your honor and for your praise, that Christ be magnified and glorified in our community. We'll thank you and praise you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Pastor Russell, I want to thank you for being here this evening and sharing your prayer with the mayor and the council. I have a challenge coin that we usually give to our faith-based community, and it's about lead the way in the city of Terrell, and then also to build your legacy here in Terrell. We always appreciate the faith-based participation within our community, so thank you for all that you do. So we look forward to having you here, okay? Thank you, sir. All right. Our next item on the agenda is mayor and council community recognition and events. Council, I want to share with you, I was at the Kiwanis Club today, and they were celebrating with the Key Club. The Key Club International celebrated their 100th anniversary this year. I was sharing with the Kiwanis that some of the Key Club members who are still in our community and I happen to go to school with, some of the names you may recognize, Chris Cronin, who is president of American National Bank, Jim Cooper, who owns a construction company here, his wife here is with us, the chamber president, Angie, Scott DeFord, who was a Secret Service person, and also Dina Elliott, who's in chambers with us tonight. Dina, raise your hand. She was in there. She's my classmate, but she's real estate. And was an active member in Key Club, and I could go on and on with the number of folks who have gone through Key Club and are current members of Kiwanis Club. So we want to take a moment and appreciate them, but also Patty Yoakum, if you'd raise your hand. She does good work with the Key Club, and so thank you for your service. And for the record, our housekeeping, we do have Phil Robinson currently with us again. So anybody else have any recognition at this time? I know we're going to do a police in just a moment.
Mayor, I want to acknowledge our city staff. When we were recently at National League of Cities, it's an annual conference where cities, city staff, city council members, mayors meet. Had an opportunity to chat with, of course, cities from outside of Texas, but particularly in Texas, in talking to other city staff, got recognized for the work that we're doing, like in the downtown area, and so cities in Texas know that there's things happening in the downtown area. So when I said, man, I need to come and see what y'all are doing, I've driven by, but I know y'all are more advanced and, kind of further along than we are. It was like, no, like the city's doing, like we wish we were doing what y'all are doing in the city of Terrell. So thank you to the chamber. I know Allison does a lot of work on that too here, and know that although sometimes you feel like you're losing momentum or don't have the momentum other cities do, like the city of McKinney, it's good to remind that it took the city of McKinney 20 years to get where they're at. We won't try to go that slow, but pace ourselves to make sure that we get it right. So.
Cool. All right. Anyone else? In addition to, yesterday we had a crew from Telemundo that was here doing interviews, and Mayrani did an excellent job representing the city for that interview. So thank you, Mayrani, for doing that. At this time, Captain Bulin, if you would please come forward. You have some recognitions.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, council members. Before I begin, I was going to let you know that Chief Sansom, he was called away to Commerce, Texas today. He actually has been selected by the Dean of the Criminal Justice Program as an ambassador for the College of Innovation and Design at East Texas A&M. I want to introduce the newest additions to our Terrell Police Department, Officer Thurley Rodriguez. Come on up. Officer James Bowman. Both of these officers, they graduated from the North Texas Council of Governments Regional Police Academy on March the 17th, 2025. Thurley was awarded the most physically fit out of her entire class. James brings valuable life experience that can positively impact everyone he meets. Both Thurley and James excelled in the academy, and they're eager to come to work for Terrell. I'd also like to introduce Officer Travis Williams and K-9 Blaze. Travis reapplied with the Terrell Police Department, and he was reappointed as a police officer on February the 3rd of 2025 after serving some time with the Rockwall County Sheriff's Office as their K-9 handler. After he departed Rockwall County, we were able to purchase Rockwall County Sheriff's Department K-9 Blaze under salary savings. He's 100% trained, and he's ready to start working. He's already working for the police department now.
Wonderful.
The other K-9 that we have, Officer Anders and K-9 Drake, they were unable to be here tonight. He completed his training. He's ready to be deployed. The city was able to purchase Drake using insurance recovery from the loss of K-9 Max and donations from the Terrell Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association. They couldn't be here tonight this evening. They have a pre-scheduled vacation. They had an event out of state.
Wonderful. Good. Thank you. Can we get a picture with the council and the police officers and the K-9 for the city, please? And then I think there's yeah, let's go for it. Let's-
Stephanie, he's after you.
Awesome, yeah. We're going to do that in just 1 second.
So we also have the Alumni Association that has a presentation for K-9s.
Mayor and council members, we want to present Officer Williams with a gift. It's really for Blaze, sorry, not for you. To help you get, maybe he needs some more chew toys or a new bed or whatever, but just kind of help him get some special treats. Thank you. So we're so glad that you're here, and we're so glad to have you as a part of Terrell again.
Hey, Andrea, could we get your group to come forward and take a picture? Oh, are you doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, gang.
Oh, he's ready to work.
When? Good to see you.
You bet. Thank you. Thank you. Next on our agenda is hear remarks from visitors. We have some forms that have been filled out. Dr. Steemster, would you like to come forward, please? Let's say a few words, 3 minutes. What?
Mr. Mayor, to the,
If you would move the mic so we.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, just move it up. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Mr. Mayor, and to the city council members, on behalf of Southwestern Christian College, we'd just like to express our appreciation for each and every one of you for the support and the friendship and the partnership that the city of Terrell has and is continuing to nurture with Southwestern Christian College. We are making a lot of improvements, and we are striving to become a four-year institution. Right now, we have 2 four-year degree programs, but we just added another one. We just got the interdisciplinary studies four-year program, and we're hoping to make Southwestern a four-year program across the board. We wouldn't have been able to get to this point without your support, and of course, Mike Sims, who's been a tremendous partner. He's a great advocate for the school. I can bounce things off of him. And we appreciate you, Mike, for all that you do and your team. The city secretary, I know they get tired of me calling. And I just want to let you know, we've almost been in Terrell 80 years. We're almost 90 years old, but we've been in Terrell almost 80. And we're enjoying being in the city of Terrell. Believe it or not, I know I look like a very, very young man. I know I'm confusing all of you. I'm 60. But I was a student here back in the 80s. And it's just amazing how well Terrell is doing. When my friends come back for the lectureship or they're here for an event, they always say, man, I can't believe Terrell has grown the way that it has. But that's because of you and, of course, your leadership, Mayor, and, of course, Mike. And we thank you guys for that. And we look forward to continuing to work with all of you.
Thank you for your comments. Next on the agenda is, is Sarah Hatley. Would you come forward? Again, if you would, state your name, state your name and your address.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having this moment. My name is Sarah Hatley. I'm actually not a resident of Terrell, but I'm Kemp, but I'm on the Terrell Airport Board.
Okay.
And I'm here representing them tonight. We would like to express our appreciation for y'all's support and our recent activities at the airport, and just a little bit of update of what we've been doing. We've recently added reflective buttons to the runway, and the feedback from the pilots has been that it has increased and enhanced safety for landing at night, and they're very appreciative of recognizing the safety factor. Also, another thing that has taken effect is CareFlight has also moved one of their helicopters in for response to emergency situations. I personally have a husband and a brother on a local volunteer fire department, and outside the community, it's a great thing for not just Terrell and their residents, but outside the community, it has cut down on the response time. So surrounding areas are very grateful for what the airport is providing to the county. And then lastly, some of the other feedback from the pilots is we've recently changed management over FBO, and there has been some good and encouraging information coming from that and goals for the future. So we think that's going to be a good change moving forward. So the city council is to be commended for recognizing how vital an airport is to their city and the surrounding community, and we appreciate the support and the future success of Terrell. Thank y'all.
Thank you for your comments. Ken Lane?
Thank you. My name is Ken Lane. I live at 408 Griffith Avenue. I'm a 9-year resident here in Terrell, and this is my first time to address the council. Thank you for your service today. I have grave concerns as to the most recent city financial review as referenced in the last city council meeting of March 4th. At that meeting, you as a council were asked to approve an approximate expenditure of $50,000 for an audit preparation. In that very presentation, Assistant City Manager made numerous references to a TML report that he said we just received today, trying to explain that is why you did not have time to review before an evening meeting in which you were asked to approve this expenditure. I believe he used the term critical in describing this report. I believe the findings are far more severe, and I would call them grounds for immediate termination, that being not only the finance director, but also the city manager as well. They have stated numerous times, the city manager said that the finance department's performance is totally his responsibility. I would highlight just a few of the findings and recommendations from this report. I'm assuming the council have all had a copy of this to look at. The first observation says Terrell has not historically been able to issue its audited financial statements by the 180-day deadline contained in Texas local government code. According to the 2023 financial statements on the city website, under capital investment, it reads, the city council completed implementation of several new financial software subscriptions, including its primary accounting software. The value of the new subscription assets were approximately $1,700,000, that being part of my taxpayer money. In the TML review, it says, the city implemented this Tyler Munis ERP software in January 2024. Finance staff believe that the user departments do not utilize the software to its full potential and are not following established processes for credit card and procurement transactions. I'll skip to page 5 of this report and let me quote from it. The finance team has not emphasized training or continuing education opportunities. And this is the kicker. During the fiscal year of 2024, there were no expenses charged to the finance budget for training or travel except for some basic reimbursement for mileage. Remember all those questions that you got to ask at the last meeting? Why we don't get financials on time? Why is there such a holdup in our department? Why did you not get a copy of this prior to that meeting? They said they received it in the city that day. I don't know when you received it. I received this from a Freedom of Information request from the city on Friday. I've had this weekend to review it. There's multiple other instances here that are quoted where there's shortcomings from the financial department that are here. I don't know why this document hasn't been posted on the city website. We paid for this study. We should be able to see the results of it. It's not there, of course. Council, you have a decision to make. Either you are okay with this type of culture in our finance department, or you're ready for the change that you were elected to do. In order to make this city more transparent, this change needs to take place. Phil, I voted for you for changes. Donna, you were voted in for changes. You won in a landslide because the citizens expect that. If you make this drastic change, which I think is necessary because of this report today, the citizens of Terrell will be at your back. They support you in this. The city has a bright future ahead of it, but it has to take corrective action now. You've got a 2025 budget coming up. You need to take these actions now. Do the right thing. It's the responsibility of this council. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for your comments. Our next person to speak will be Patty Yocum.
Patty Yocum, 103 Main Street. Been here about 8 years. First, I want to thank all of y'all for your staff and the staff for your service to the city. I really appreciate it. And I also want to thank Mayor Carmona for coming to support the high school Key Club at our meeting today, celebrating the 100 years of Key Club International. And these students are our future and are instrumental in many events in our community, and in my opinion, would not happen without them. So Mayor Carmona, as he said, was a Key Clubber, so y'all need to, he has some stories y'all might want him to share with you. Just saying, he shared one, but, okay, down to brass tacks. The Texas Municipal League Boot Camp recommendations for Terrell was received March 4th and referenced in the city council meeting that night. As a taxpayer, I am fuming over this report. And my points that I'm going to make are very oversimplified just due to time. I had suspicions that the city was not transparent with our financials, and this report hit me like a brick. The city needs to get back down to the basics, clean house, and come back transparent as a piece of glass. The current financial system is very complex, but for a city this size, it doesn't need to be. And the more complex, the more room for error and misappropriation. Checkbooks, bank accounts must be reconciled on a monthly basis, just like anybody else in this room does, but they are not. And we have way too many, and so my questions are why? Credit cards are flowing around here like crazy and must be slimmed down to employee accountability. I propose the city hire a purchasing agent, a manager, a department. It seems to me that a lot of spending is done without a third-person accountability in regard to maintenance of city-owned property, which is a whole different issue, requests for bids, equipment purchases within one entity citywide, and overall contractual agreements. This person would hold many responsibilities in relation to purchases and additional spending that is currently not being scrutinized or handled correctly. Overall, I'm very disappointed. I decided to run for mayor because I know I can bring this city back to the citizens. And now I know for a fact there are much deeper problems at all levels. All employees must take account of their participation in the issues today and vow to change to bring transparency and honesty back to Terrell. I encourage all citizens to read this report. Terrell, we can do better, and we will. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. That's all? Our next item on the agenda are business items. Item 5.1, discuss and consider mowing from FY 2023. Oh, we have a public hearing, I'm sorry. Item 4.1, conduct a public hearing to allow public comment on the City of Terrell Community Block Grant Water Improvement Project, CDV 0329, to review project performance and review public comments. This is going to be by our city engineer, Chris Snap.
So council, mayor, city manager, I bring to you a completed project. As we've talked previously about the Poetry Road water line, part of this grant is to have a public meeting after it's completed. So if you let me, there, to kind of help orient you about the water line, this water line was installed at the corner there at State Street and Poetry Road, just north, just barely south of the high school. It crisscrossed the road, but that project is complete. The water line is in service. It's been back teed and tested and all the samples required. So this public meeting is a reflection of that job being complete.
Is this something, can I ask a question?
Yes. Well,
Is this something we have to talk about tonight?
yes, it's on the agenda.
I know it's on the agenda, but is it something we need to do?
It's city
tonight?
business, yes. We need to be briefed. It's a public hearing, so we've posted a public hearing. We have to have the public hearing.
Okay.
All right, were you done? Okay, okay, good. All right, at this time, we will open the public hearing to hear comments on the City of Terrell Block Grant Water Improvement Project, CDV 0329, to review project performance and receive public comments. So is there anyone here to speak on this matter? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. We'll move on to item 5.1, discuss and consider mowing from FY 2023, FY 2025 for TxDOT right-of-way, City of Terrell right-of-way, and City of Terrell facilities. This is our public services, Glenn Caldwell.
Mr. Mayor, Council, it's always a pleasure to come before you. At one of our previous meetings, we had an opportunity to review our mowing cycles that are currently in place. We came forward, you guys had several requests, and we wanted to bring forward those requests. You wanted to know what are some options we could take a look at. You guys made recommendations for increasing the budget to $192,000 to address the TxDOT right-of-way mowing. All of these locations, remember, are at our entryways. The other item is to utilize the current funds that we have available in the current budget. Remember, we've already had 6 cycles. We've got 9 cycles remaining. We have additional $90,000 to spend in the current budget. Last but not least, if we reduced it down to $100,000, we've already had 6 cycles. We've got 4 cycles remaining, which means we'll have $40,000 available. I also attached and provided the contact information to the TxDOT maintenance contract individual, which is Leanne Kemp, so that all of you could reach out and get an insight on the number of cycles that TxDOT mow in this particular area. And the cycles are between 3 to 2 cycles a year. And we have been diligently trying to seek more support from them. At this time, we have not been successful with that. So I want to leave these options available to you for discussion. And I'll stand back and receive
Okay.
questions or
Yeah.
comments.
So the last time we spoke, I think we were going to have one of the council members we're going to meet with TxDOT. Has that occurred yet?
Hasn't, I spoke to Miss Leanne, and she told me she'll let me know in the next week when is a good time for me to come talk to her. But I did speak with her, and she hadn't called me back with the time.
Okay. So would we be comfortable, council, of waiting until after that meeting to discuss this further?
I'd like-
Is everybody good on that? Okay. Thank you, Glenn. Next item on the agenda? Oh, this is a consider.
Yeah.
So we need a motion, hold on.
I'll make
Let
a
me, whoa, let me get my paper out. All right, is there a motion on 5.1?
Yes, I make a motion to postpone item 5.1.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem. We have a second from Phil Robinson, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, District 5, to postpone the mowing from FY 2023 through FY 2022 for TxDOT right-of-way for the City of Terrell. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next item on the agenda is 5.2, discuss and consider resolution number 2214, resolution of support by the City Council of the City of Terrell, Texas for the Terrell Independent School District bond proposal. This is going to be handled by our Senior Policy Analyst, Omar Mata.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I hope you had a little bit of time to read over Resolution 2214. Just as a summary, the last time that I came before you with a legislative update, your direction was regarding the school bond, that we did want to back it fully as a council in unison. So we do have this draft resolution for you, just kind of going through the details of what the bond entails. And at the end, it is just basically saying that the City of Terrell Mayor and Council support TISD bond proposal as it appears on the ballot for voter approval on May 3rd, and urges all eligible voters to support this measure. If there's any changes or edits, we can absolutely do that through a motion to this This is not finalized, but this is just something to give you guys a starting point, and if you want to consider a vote to get this passed, we will share this with the school district and happily get it out there, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Omar. Council, is there any objection to resolution?
No.
Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion on resolution number 2214?
Motion to approve resolution number 2214 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, District 3, a second from Phil Robinson, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, District 5, to approve resolution number 2214 as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 5.3, discuss and consider legislative-related resolutions and correspondence. Again, this is our senior policy analyst, Omar Amata.
Mayor and council, in your packet, you will see Resolution 2216. We discussed last time about getting a unison on council, kind of where we wanted to do moving forward. So Resolution 2216, you can see under Section 1 at the bottom of your screen there. These are all of the things that, if this resolution does pass, authorizes the mayor to have correspondence in compliance to the grants on the federal level, as well as some legislation going on in the House and the Senate at this time. We did, just for a little bit of background, as far as the funding goes, we are going to follow up with letters to our representatives, making sure that they are aware that we want adequate funding, as well as appropriations for those grants. They're listed, and anything else that we have, such as the Vanderhorst environmental cleanup, some kind of funding for that. And then on the Texas House and Senate side, we would want letters to representatives, our representatives, letters to the committees as well, either opposing or in support of different bills. I am happy to go through that with individuals. Ms. Donna Renee and I actually went down to the TML mid-year conference last week. And just to give you guys some really quick fun facts, this session, bill filing has closed. 8,900 bills were filed this session, and out of those 8,900, 2,176 are going to impact cities at some capacity. So there are a lot of things moved on the floor. Thankfully, we do have a great resource, TML, that kind of gives us summaries. They keep us updated. I'm very attentive to make sure that we're keeping up with any webinars that they have, anything that passes, and we are in connection with our representatives. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I will make sure to keep everybody updated with any letters that we send out. If you would like to be copied on those, I will be happy to send those as well, so you guys are aware of what's going on. And then anything we do moving forward as well.
Okay, thank you, Omar. Council, again, these are grant opportunities that we have discussed in the past, and I think we were all supportive of. This just gives us a unified voice as we continue that process. Does anybody have any comments or questions on it?
Amira, in DC recently, we had a meeting with our representative along with his legislative director. I believe you and Mike were in that meeting with me. Some of the concerns raised were whether or not those grant funds would be available with some of the federal freezes happening. Do we have any word on kind of what the direction is there, and if we're going to proceed with some of these grants being allocated, or has that been discussed?
All we've heard thus far is that the continuing resolution that was recently passed did include funding that we were interested in. I can't speak specifically to the Vanderhorst one, but the continuing resolution did cover several of the others.
Also,
Thank you.
Allison from the TML had a White House briefing with the cities and the White House staff. And the meeting was not positive in regards to funding, grant funding. And it was, let's just say she was disappointed.
Just for clarity, Allison is the TML president
Of the Texas.
currently, and she's also the mayor of a town.
Yes.
Can't remember off the top of my head, but yes.
Okay.
One, in addition, I'd like to make, so in addition to The resolution here is regarding, I'd like to see the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act included in here. The committee regarding transportation, which includes funding for roads, also has a strong stance on cities continuing to receive funding for road improvements, infrastructure improvements, and is also working towards how can we advocate for maybe that formula that's utilized to help trickle the money down, because we're a smaller city compared to some of these larger cities that have received funding. That is definitely an area I'd like to see, make sure that we cover in here so we don't leave anything off the table. So I can make that motion.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anyone else? Is there a motion on resolution, is it 2216?
Yes, sir.
All right, is there a motion on resolution 2216?
Motion to approve resolution number 2216 with the addition of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act funding to be included under Section 1 programs.
All right, addition noted. Is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, District 3, a second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem, District 4, to approve Resolution 2216 with the additions. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 5.4, discuss and consider Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority, the MVCPA grant for automated license plate recognition, the ALPR program. This is going to be handled by our Captain Michael Bulin. Please come forward.
Thank you again, Mayor, Council. Appreciate the chance to speak to you about an important opportunity we have to enhance public safety in our community. Flock Safety Program has had a positive impact on our law enforcement efforts. We now have an opportunity to receive grant funding from the Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority to increase the number of flock safety devices throughout our city. Your support for the Flock Safety Program will strengthen our ability to provide public safety for our community, and we have great news. We're going to receive a grant for about $160,417 to help with this effort, and it's something that I believe our IT can afford in a budget. Additionally, we'll be able to apply for grant funding to continue the program annually. Several other agencies use the same program and same process to maintain funding by applying for the same grant each year.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Captain on this?
If we don't get the grant, do we have the money? Do we feel comfortable that we can continue this service and provide this this safety feature to our citizens if we don't get the funding by grant?
I haven't had that discussion with the city manager or the chief.
I would say that for this increment of funds, we will want to make sure that we get this grant, okay? The follow-up question, of course, is always, will we be able to continue funding for these projects in the future? This would be a FY27 decision. So what's going to happen is we're going to have a grant that we hope to get. If we successfully get the grant, then that's going to allow us to do what we're looking at on the PowerPoint slide here. That purchase would actually occur in October. We would be buying 1 year of service. So we would have to apply for the grant again in the summer of FY26 and hope to receive money to cover us for the FY27 period. Can I guarantee that we're going to get that grant in the summer of FY26? No. And I would openly say it would be difficult for us to get our police IT budget up to this level in FY27. But we do feel fairly confident that that grant will be available again for the FY27 time period.
Okay.
Captain Bulin, do you have $32,083 in your budget to match this grant?
I believe we do, based on the numbers.
Since the payment would be made in October, correct me if I'm wrong, would we receive reimbursement within the same fiscal year, or would it be in the next fiscal year?
Should be in the same fiscal year.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Captain. Is there a motion on the MVCPA grant? Oh, resolution, I'm sorry, resolution number 221.
Motion to approve resolution number 2215.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Phil Robertson, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 5, a second from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, District 3, to approve resolution number 2215. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by...
I do.
Oh, one more, okay.
So we are talking about fiscal year 2026?
That's when this product would be delivered and paid for, yes.
And we are putting the grant, has the grant been completed?
The application has been completed.
And we have, in your money, you have $32,000. So I'm not going to be surprised by someone coming up and telling me something different later.
No.
Why do I not believe that?
Any further questions? All right, I had a motion, I had a second. All those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed?
Oppose?
Motion carries 3-1. Next item on the agenda is our discussion items. Discuss resolution number 2213, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Terrell, Texas, authorizing the approval of an agreement for emergency medical services between the City of Terrell, Texas and CareFlight, authorizing the city manager or his designee to negotiate and execute the agreement and any other documents necessary in establishing an effective date. This is going to be handled by our Fire Chief Shane LaCroix.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. What I bring to you tonight for discussion is our agreement with CareFlight, to provide EMS service. Now, the current contract that we're under started in 2015, and so it's set to expire in July of this year. So we've been negotiating that process. So that this agreement would be to establish, CareFlight as our exclusive provider of emergency medical services in Terrell, outlining, the operational, financial, and service-related responsibilities. Some of the key points: exclusive EMS provider would be CareFlight. 5-year term with automatic 1-year renewals. 24/7 EMS coverage. Defined response time standards. Deployment of fully equipped ambulances and personnel. Service responsibilities is that, the city will transfer all our emergency 911 calls to CareFlight, as we do now. A monthly report with a quality assurance program. Housing up to 2 ambulances and their crew at city fire stations. In that amount, they would pay us $12,000 annually to house these 2 ambulances and crews at fire stations. And then we have some further discussion on that as we go through. CareFlight retains the right to bill for the service. There's an optional $1 a month per household state-approved membership program for emergency transports by CareFlight. It'd be added to the utility bill and collected by the city, and that's as it's done right now. And there's also an opt-out by customers if they choose not to be in that program. Termination liability, 180-day notice. Non-compliance, could be triggered for termination. Insurance and indemnification requirements. So basically, at this point, I'm just going to go over kind of the summary of the revisions, what's different from what it was in 2015. So when we looked at some of the terms and definitions, we wanted to make sure that they were consistent with the Texas Administrative Code 157 and the Emergency Health Care Act of 773. And those define what an MICU is, what ALS is, what BLS is, response times, ALS supervisor vehicle, and standard of care. So now those are all defined within the agreement. 5-year agreement has automatic renewals unless the city provides notice of non-renewals at least 180 days before expiration. Scope of services, add medical control coverage, CE programs, and quality improvement programs. We're doing a lot of our CEs in-house, but we want to be covered and have been by their medical direction, and we just wanted that in the agreement as well. Care Flight Ambulance crew housing revenue redirected to funds individuals pursuing fire department related certifications. So the $12,000 annually that they would pay us to have their ambulances in the fire station, we'd be able to use it basically as a scholarship program. That we will have our Civil Service Commission administer the program. So it could be awarded to Terrell Independent School District graduates that are pursuing fire and EMS certifications. And so that program would be overseen by them and be built by them. Added response times in nursing homes. So if it's an emergency transfer, it's 19 minutes, 59 seconds. These are non-scheduled, non-emergency transfers. Could be up to an hour. And scheduled transfers, 15 minutes and 59 seconds. Again, before we didn't have any kind of time standard whatsoever when they'd go out to a nursing home, so now we do. We had the option of city-owned units staffed by Care Flight and Terrell Fire Department paramedics, you know, to kind of give us options if we need them. Contract also allows city to own and operate fire department apparatus and not constitute a breach of the contract. These statements will remove failure of provider to assist city in the takeover after the declaration of a city of a major default. Failure of provider to substantially and consistently meet or exceed the various clinical response standards provided herein. And failure of Care Flight to submit reports and information as set forth in this agreement. These were removed because we actually broadened the area in this text. So we put failure of Care Flight to provide the emergency medical services in a manner consistent with the standard of care, federal, state, and local laws, rules, and regulations. So that's a bigger umbrella on things, and so we felt like that covered those areas. So in conclusion, this agreement ensures high-quality EMS service for Terrell residents while defining clear service, financial, and operational expectations. And staff recommends approval to authorize the city manager or his designee to negotiate and execute the agreement with Care Flight to provide emergency medical services for the city of Terrell. And I'll be happy to answer any
All right,
questions.
Chief, let's go back to the benefits for our residents, for the $1. Is that automatic, and then they have to opt out of it? So if I understand that correctly, whatever, there's zero charge for our residents for this service?
$1 per household, it's charged to the utility. Yeah.
But at the time of the emergency, if there's a need for the ambulance to be used or Care Flight, then there's no cost to our residents, or how does that work? Insurance?
Well, I think it depends, but that's the ideal, that, they cover like a flight
Okay.
if they're flown and their transport.
Okay, all right. That's a good benefit.
As far as
So
money
they would
coming
need
out
to
of
opt
their
out.
pockets,
Otherwise,
yeah.
they're in unless they opt out.
Correct.
Okay, got it. All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments for the chief? Again, this is resolution number, does anybody have any comments?
Before 2015, how do we provide this service to our citizens?
Before that, it was a different ambulance service.
That was East Texas Medical.
That was before my time.
Did we have something similar to them with the dollar charge or no?
No, we did not have that with East Texas Medical.
Okay. Anyone else?
What's the,
Oh, go ahead.
what's the process when we come up for renewal? Do we just keep the same company? Do we ask other companies for bid? What is that process like now that we're seeing this tonight, before we get here?
Well, we reviewed what CareFlight has done for going on, 10 years. And so we're happy to stay with them, because there's a lot of things that go on that work in relationship with them to provide these services. And, we're not paying them, so,
Would just have liked to seen, CareFlight is CareFlight. I respect them and I respect what they do. But just being in healthcare, I would have liked to have seen other companies, some reports, reach out to other cities or areas that's using other companies. It just seems like, I just want to make sure we do our due diligence based on the needs for our citizens, since we don't have a hospital. This is very important, and I wish we would have gotten a little more.
I think it'd be some of it would be a little bit hard to compete with, now that CareFlight's got an helicopter sitting at our airport, so that's pretty good. Also, CareFlight's providing service to the county. So, not saying that another company wouldn't come in, but, they would be coming in amongst being surrounded by an area that's being covered by one entity.
Are we comfortable with the service that's being provided by
Yes.
CareFlight? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Go ahead.
So Chief, you know that I still currently actually ride an ambulance as a paramedic in the city of Dallas. I've actually ridden an ambulance with this man right here, Jeremy Hatcher, when he was a Dallas firefighter. So I know the kind of service they provide. I've seen it firsthand, high quality there. I wanted to ask a few questions, though. What is the benefit of exclusivity in this contract?
Well, a lot of that has to do with, for another company that can't come in and do transports.
Let's say they're busy, though. Why wouldn't we want to bring someone else in if we needed to?
CareFlight has a contract for somebody to come in behind them if they can't have an ambulance provided to
If they manage that within their own processes?
Yes.
Sort of a mutual aid type situation of some sort? Or who would be our backup in case all of our CareFlight resources are deployed? Christus? Okay. And what would that response time look like in those circumstances?
Go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody, okay?
I'm Jeremy Hatcher. I'm the operation manager. Well, now I have a new title, EMS chief. In those situations, like we don't just go out there and call LifeNet or Medicare ambulance out of wherever to come in mutual aid. We try to use our own facilities. Let's go back to May when the big storm came through Terrell. We started numerous calls were coming in. We needed more ambulances. I got on our dispatch and I said, hey guys, we have this, I'm going to consider this an MCI across the county, need more resources. So in 22 minutes, I had 27 CareFlight resources in the city of Terrell answering calls out 148, 987, all around this area. We usually attempt to use our own resources, but in the event, we're looking at the ones that are going to give you the same quality that CareFlight's going to give you. We're going to look at UT Health. We're going to look at Christus. We're going to, we've even called Medical Jets. But we keep a close eye on who we use. And that's part of that contract. That part of that contract gives us sole
Discretion.
Yes. And so our dispatch actually, you know, they're the ones that say, okay, these are the companies that we can call.
Okay.
But in the event, we have 140 to 150 ambulances across North Texas. We have 7 aircraft. We have a fixed wing. We have all of
So
those.
this puts a great deal of care flat resources at our disposal, and even outside the community that can be brought in if need be.
Yes.
Okay. So regarding the incentives and penalties, I see the termination clause. How is that defined specifically? So what would have to happen for us to say, terminating the service, this is not working out for us? How would that look, Chief?
We had, within 180 days, we'd have to give them notice. And then there's a period of, in which we try to work out whatever those differences are. But if a conclusion couldn't get met during that, those negotiations or whatever, then we can terminate the contract.
So I guess I'm talking in terms of what specific failures of service or response time would have to occur to trigger us terminating the contract. I want to make sure the service we're signing up for exclusively, that we're going to have something in place to make sure the service is done well, with quality, with meeting response times.
So you're hitting on something that's key, because you're saying services, correct? In the past, it had to do a lot with response times. They had to make 90% at their designated response times in order to become compliant. So everything had to do with just how fast they got there. That's why we went in, and there was a lot of negotiation back and forth with CareFlight. And that's where the standard of care came in, because I want to look at not just response times, but what do they do when they get there? You know, what kind of service are they providing? Are they providing up to the level in which we want them to provide at? Well, now we have the ability, if they're not, then we can terminate. Where in the past, it was an automatic move over extension if they met their time standards.
Gotcha. Okay, and we feel good about the handover process between our ALS engines and kind of when we transfer care from those to a CareFlight, a separate entity of care. How does that function in the real world?
It works real great. And another reason why we worked with this agreement to make sure that we define what an MICU is and what ALS is, so that transfers from paramedic to paramedic.
Okay.
So that we don't have a BLS unit coming in and we're trying to hand ALS care off to. So there's been a lot of work on this to define, to make sure that level of service that we're demanding is being provided.
Okay.
And also because we have the same med control, basically their protocols are exactly, just like in Dallas. They're the same protocols that we do, we have on the ambulance.
So there's an alignment of processes and procedures?
Yes.
Okay. And this is no offense to EMS Chief Hatcher, but have we given consideration to the idea of conducting EMS in-house? How seriously have we considered the prospect of that, of doing our own EMS internally, having our own ambulances? We've already got our full ALS-trained paramedics who could potentially jump on an ambulance right now and do a great job. And that could be something that could be, not to be cynical about it, but could be a revenue stream for the city as opposed to being an expense for the city. What considerations have we put forth there?
Oh, we're looking.
You're looking?
Believe me, we was looking since I got here. You got to understand that one of the things is that, we have to, these individuals are ambulance with transport, correct? And so right now it'd be transporting all the way out into Dallas or whatever. So, we've been waiting to see if we get a hospital closer by, which would make that more advantageous to be able to do. But also understand this, right now, CareFlight's working off of a subscription program. So it's not really costing the citizens, anything when they get treated or transported. That wouldn't be the case if we bring it inside, in-house.
Gotcha. So I do have some concerns then about if we're still sort of considering the process of maybe going in-house with our EMS, if we're agreeing to a 5-year contract, that's a pretty lengthy period of time to agree to something. We might want to make a change, especially considering we do have a closer hospital potentially being constructed at the Gateway Bridge on 80 near Forney. So we are going to have a closer facility in the near future. Do you have any concerns that that's too long of a contract to agree to considering we're thinking through doing EMS in-house?
No. I mean, right now, it's taking you up to 2 years to get an ambulance. So if y'all agreed today, it would take us about that time to have everything in place to be able to move to that.
Okay.
And let me say this too, so we also work in Burleson, and they were kind of in the same boat that you're in, where you're talking about adding ambulances. We support them. They come in, we run the city of Burleson, they've added one ambulance, then they've added another ambulance, and then we're there as their backup. And then, once they're probably fully staffed, they'll run their 911, consider running their inter-facility, but we're also still there to support them and be their backup. And we'll do the same thing with the city of Terrell. If Chief LaCroix comes to me in 3 years, says, hey, we're buying our first ambulance, I'm gonna thumbs up, thanks for the help.
Okay.
And when he gets ready and he decides, hey, CareFlight, you give me a 180-day notice, we'll back off. We're still here, we're still around you, we'll still support you.
There's flexibility in the contract to accommodate that?
Yeah,
or-
if he comes to us and, he says, okay, the city of Terrell wants to go a different route, we want to exercise our 180-day notice, we're going to help. I mean, and then if you decide, hey, we don't want you completely away, we want to start, when you start an EMS, it may scare you to death when you start looking at the prices, but you start somewhere.
Okay.
Well, and you have to understand this. There's no other city around us, unless you go all the way up to Greenville, that has EMS, in the fire stations, correct? So we have to have a backup. So no matter what, we would have to have a contract with somebody to be able to back up our city services as well.
So one final question, not to belabor it, but so the presentation discusses housing the CareFlight crews at our fire stations. Do we have the capacity space-wise to accommodate additional folks, especially kind of we have a limited number of stations as it is?
Yeah, that verbiage is stayed from the original
No
contract.
different than, so kind of in line with that, are there any specific changes to the contract that you'd like the mayor and council to note or to be aware of?
Yeah, that's what I just
Just the last piece
presented
there,
all, yeah.
that's the only thing that's of note that's important to kind of address? Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you,
both.
thank you, Councilman.
Well, I do have, so I think council has some of the same similar questions, because I did some research on the number of years on a contract for EMS when a city hires, and it can be from 10 years, like a bigger city with, like the city of Fort Worth, 5 years, 3 years. So I think it sounds like it makes sense to do a 5-year contract. The question around, did we do a request did we do request for services, proposal, et cetera? I think that's something that council has been asking. And I think we'll continue to see this question anytime that we have requests of us made when we're executing contracts. Did we go through a formal process to review different competitors and what are the prices through those bids, et cetera? I think it's good of us to do our due diligence to make sure that we are looking both at quality, but then where we could save funds for our community members. And so that was one of my items for not the budget year, but going into the budget year for the strategy as well, to look at that. So that's just, a note for staff. What I liked seeing in the specific contract it's those performance measures that we placed in here regarding like the priority 1 calls, the priority 2 calls, priority 3 calls. Are we hitting that 90% mark to make sure that we're taking care of the patients, like we sure that we're transporting them in a timely manner? So that was helpful to me to know that we have those performance measures there. What would be even more helpful to me moving forward would be to receive like a quarterly summary of those performance measures, because that's not something I'm seeing. Well, I'm seeing the EMS numbers included in the monthly report that we receive regarding police and fire activity. I'm not seeing the actual success of those metrics. So it would be helpful moving forward to receive those.
Yeah, we can
as
start
well.
providing that, because we get them on a monthly basis.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have an additional question.
Okay.
Okay, so we have to give 180 days before we end the contract. Can it be at any point, or does it need to be 6 months before the end of the 5 years? We can be 2.5 years, hey, we want to go another direction. Can we do that in the middle of the contract, or does it always have to be near the end, the way it's written
I mean, the way,
before?
how you,
This is the deal. We're going to support you however you want. We're not going to hold you, if you don't want us here, we're not going to hold you to this contract. That's the way our leadership is. You know, we've had a great relationship with the city of Terrell. We really have. Over the last 10 years, we had no problems. We wouldn't have made this big investment of bringing a $5 million helicopter to your Terrell Airport if we didn't think the partnership was there. You know, the way EMS is going and the way prices are going up, you know, we just did a contract in October for Johnson County, and the subsidy there is $1.5 million. Because of our partnership with the city of Terrell, you're remaining a zero subsidy. You pay us zero. You pay us a dime for covering EMS. You know, the membership, the $1 a month which is best for the citizens, you know, and I want to dive into that just a little bit. You know, if I run on you, you have commercial insurance. Whatever your insurance pays, you'll never receive a bill for us. Now, if you do receive a bill, you call us, because sometimes with the water bills, names, addresses, and that's for your whole household. Sometimes names don't get added from the household, but if you call us, we take care of it. If you don't have insurance, we do 50%. But on top of that, because of our Caring Heart membership, let's just say there's a family member that's going through rough times, they don't have insurance, they can't afford it. They call us, they fill out a form, and they say, I can't afford it. Well, guess what? We write that off as bad debt. We're nonprofit. We don't have to send money back to basically lenders. We don't have to do that. We're owned by the 3 major hospitals: Texas Health, Methodist, Baylor, and then also Parkland and John Peter Smith in Fort Worth. But we have, you know, like I said, we're not out to we don't want to run anybody's life off of an ambulance bill or a helicopter.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate the report. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Hatcher, for being with us. We'll see this again at our next council meeting. All right, thank you.
Information. Thanks, Chief Hatcher.
Next item on the agenda is
Thank you, Chief.
discuss Southwestern Christian College resolutions. This is going to be our city manager, Mike Sims.
So Mayor and Council, this is just a discussion item, and I'll take you through it quickly. I want to thank Dr. Seamster for being here. We always appreciate him coming out to chat. The goal here is to kind of preview some things that will need to get voted on in the next little while. So Southwestern Christian College, what are the next steps in a great partnership? One is our upcoming conversation about the criminal justice classes that Dr. Seamster has been leading, implementing at Southwestern Christian College. You know, one of our long-term goals is to diversify our recruitment of police officers. And one of the thoughts that we've had for a long time is to try to strengthen a partnership with Southwestern Christian College so that law enforcement education could occur on campus at an HBCU. First step of that is a step that Dr. Seamster has led to add the accreditation for associates in criminal justice degrees. Our 2025 budget included $30,000, which was a set-aside approved by council as part of the Public-Private Partnership Fund for criminal justice classes to be taught there. So what's the next step? We need a memorandum of agreement between Southwestern Christian College and the city stipulating all the conditions and requirements of the financial support. We're going to begin work on that, and I didn't want to leave council out of those discussions because that will come to you fairly soon for your review and approval. The next one is the upcoming Southwestern Christian College discussion about a master plan and police academy. As you know, the notion of the police academy at an HBCU is an idea that we've been working through the process with Southwestern Christian College to discuss and really plan out and make happen. So we're trying to make sure that we do that in a nice, straightforward, methodical way. Whenever we discuss this with grant agencies or with donors, one of the things that keeps being a recurring theme is the need to have a good campus master plan that really shows what's happening with the campus overall and how Police Academy would fit in with the overall campus master plan. It would look at future growth, new and renovated building needs, on-site and off-site infrastructure. And I have to say that's real key for us as a city, right? Because we need to know what sort of roads, water, sewer, drainage need to happen around Southwestern Christian College so that any improvements we might make in that zone are in harmony with future improvements that Southwestern Christian College might make. And it also opens the door for, like I said, those grant and donor partnerships. And as we've been doing our research, we think that a master plan for the campus that would do a good job looking at public outreach, making sure that there's a consensus building approach associated with that master plan, do a good job on the visioning of the campus buildings and projecting if we have such and such number of students in 10 years, 20 years, whatever, that the facilities are adequate for that level of growth. And of course, a location for the Police Academy building. All of that would need to be something that would ultimately get approved by the Southwestern Christian College Board of Directors, and then it would be best to bring it forward to the City Council as well for City Council approval as well. So in order to do that, do it methodically, do it with public input, where it's not just the college doing it and it's not the city doing it for the college, to do it in a cooperative manner, you need a citizen group and a Southwestern Christian College group overseeing it and making sure that it happens with good public input. Doing all of that is probably going to cost you around $250,000. So what are our next steps on this one? This one is not budgeted money. This is one where we need to review our funding options, seek out where that might be. So you've got longer to make decisions on this because we'll be searching for where we can acquire those funds and how we could then create an MOU between Southwestern Christian College and the city regarding the funding and planning process, do something that's beneficial for both parties there. So again, the first one is fairly near term since it is budgeted money. We need to do the MOU on it. And then the second one is more time consuming because we'll have to identify funding sources. And just giving you a little preview of items that will be voting items sometime in the future. Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, thank you. And I think the students or residents are tuition free if they're low income and from Terrell, right? Dr. Seams, is that correct? That's Southwest Christian College. We thank you for doing that. Does anybody have any questions or comments as we move forward?
Yes.
Yes.
I want to make sure I understand so the $30,000 for the criminal justice classes, are these, our staff members looking to become police officers? Is it individuals who take the classes and complete the academy and then come to the city of Terrell and work, and then they essentially, are credited funds for working at the city of Terrell? How is this?
This is assisting the financial need of Southwestern Christian College to operate teaching the criminal justice classes. So you want to think about this as early in the pipeline, where you might have a student who's fresh out of high school. They've shown up at Southwestern Christian College. They're a student on campus. They're looking for a career. And in what way can we introduce those students for an idea of a degree or a career in criminal justice? So this is very early in the process. This is not about getting accredited with the academy yet. That's a later step. This is only the step of the criminal justice classes themselves, which is, of course, very preliminary and aimed at this young age of their entering freshmen, their sophomores, to be able to have some class opportunities.
And so the item before us today is only for, well, actually, that's coming back. When do we expect this to come back?
I think it'll take a little while. I will say not the next meeting, but fairly soon, we'll have an MOU worked out with Dr. Seamster, and we can bring that forward and let you review what the parameters of that would be. But I want you to think about that as subsidizing a degree program at Southwestern Christian College to financially enable them to make true on the step they've taken, right? They've taken the step of getting the accreditation done. They need to make sure they've got the professionals on staff to be able to teach those classes, and that's what we're aiming for here.
My concern is, I think it's an excellent step to bring on the classes, provide additional schooling to students in the city of Terrell. My hope would be that those individuals want to work for the city of Terrell, want to work for other businesses in the city of Terrell, in the county. For example, criminal justice, you can go work for the county, you can go work for Child Protective Services, there's different roles. So that's the desire that I wish to see with the program. My concern is the bucket of money that we're using, because this sounds very workforce development to me, and it is. So while I'm not speaking on behalf of the Terrell Economic Development Corporation, but sitting there as being a representative for the city as a board member, this feels like a project that typically would be brought to like the Economic Development Corporation. So I'd love to explore, if there are, I'd like to explore different funding mechanisms to help support workforce in the city of Terrell. That's where I'm at right now.
Be happy to have that conversation with the EDC.
Yes.
Yes.
I am remiss at, we have lots of projects that start, and then we have projects that start and stop. And I would like us to concentrate on what is important to our city. And that is, if we're going to grow, we need our roads fixed, we need our pipes fixed. And somehow, our community needs to rally around that. We have before us something that I have heard about, and now I'm seeing. I'm the new kid on the block. And I am concerned about our spending. I'm concerned about our finances. I'm concerned that the federal government is not going to be our grandmother anymore. That we are going to become a city that has to learn how to live on what we earn, what we make. And we are only 17,000 strong, and the most of us are complaining about our taxes. I think I am for growth. I think I want our young people to come to us and say, I want to work in the city. But that's not going to work if we don't take care of what we have. We're talking about something that's happening in the future that I think I need to become extremely involved in. Extremely involved in. Because I am the council member that is saying, I don't have the money anymore. The federal government is saying to cities, we don't have the money anymore. The state of Texas is saying to the cities, bless their heart, we don't have the money anymore. Omira and I have read, she has blessed me with a 6-inch document of legislation that is going to hurt us financially as a city. We, council, need your help. Do we need police officers? Yes. Do we want, Phil and I have talked about, raising up children from our high schools into our cities. We need that. But I'm remiss about giving money away for that process. Therefore, I would like to be a part of that discussion because there's got to be a way. There's a lot going on. And if you drive down Moore Avenue and pass by Fastway, that water is still running down the street. Thank you, TJ. I'm going to miss you. All I'm saying is, this is something we need to think about for a distant future. But for the present, I am remiss when I have a problem with what I'm reading in our budget.
I'd like to say, I'm a living testament sitting here that education changed lives. I'm the 13th child born to parents that didn't have education, couldn't read. We'd read the permission slip, but as adults and as the parent, they would make the decision and trust that we was reading the letter to them right and telling them the right thing. So I too would like to sit in and be a part of this. I don't think it's an immediate thing that we have to do right away, but I do know that education changed lives. And with that being said, I'm tickled. I may not go to sleep tonight because I've always talked about diversity. I would not be here if I didn't see people that look like me and do things like me and have some of my same morals and values. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those giants. So with that being said, my grandson needs to see polices that look like the gentleman that we introduced tonight, because he sees them and he knows to respond to them like he does his uncle, his granddad, not to run, not to pull out a gun and shoot. We need diversity in leadership throughout our city. Our city is too diverse, and that's what I've been preaching about the police department, the fire department. We still got work to do, but it's a start. What happened here tonight is a start, and I feel so good. I'm elated, and I do encourage and embrace programs that educate our people because it changes lives, and also when we can build this sense where I can do that too, when our little people see us, and they can be us one day, and we'll be looking to them to make these decisions. And hopefully, the decisions we make now can impact and change their lives. So I would definitely like to follow up on this. I think it's a good start. We just need to do whatever we can to help with recruitment of our police officers and our firefighters. And we need that diversity. I embrace that. That's the reason I'm here in Terrell. That's the reason I love Terrell. That's the reason I call it home. And that's my take on it, and I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anyone else?
Mayor, I believe everyone here has heard me preach the gospel of infrastructure first and our streets first, drainage, public safety. In these instances, though, I think we have to look. I caution council against looking at our local economy as just sort of a zero-sum game. When we're investing in our future and growing the workforce it's going to create jobs, create revenue. It's really going to impact our future in a huge way to invest in our young people to prepare them for the jobs of the future. I think this is a great way to have a pipeline for our local folks to want to stay in our town, contribute to our town, build our tax base, have folks who are already connected to our community become law enforcement personnel. To me, this seems like a great program. I do think that we need to discuss the cost a great deal and understand kind of what our challenges are there, make sure it fits into the budget and we're not sacrificing things that are of equal importance. But I do think and I also do want to mention that this program does, to piggyback on what Councilwoman Velasquez had to say, this program does seem to piggyback pretty directly on or plug directly into what's being done in the EDC steering committee currently. There's a study being done, and we're working with an external firm, I believe, and they're trying to solve the kinds of problems that this addresses. So I think that there is some opportunity to partner with the EDC to, for some funding and
All right.
strategizing.
Thank you, Councilman. Again, this is for discussion purposes only. What I would like to remind council, you know, everybody gets that we're focused on streets and infrastructure. I'll tell you, again, every opportunity I get, we went from a $300,000 budget in 2019, when I was first elected, to over $2 million in our street, and we're going to continue to grow that. So we're moving in the right direction. We can't be just a single focused item or agenda. We multitask at the city. We've got a lot of moving parts, and we've got to be able to juggle all of it. And y'all are doing a great job in trying to get that done. It's not easy to be able to do that, but thank you for your hard work. Our next item on the agenda is our Discuss Good News. This is going to be handled by our Public Information Officer, Allison Walker.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I bring to you tonight the March Good News Report. Oops, sorry. Okay. So this falls right in with what y'all were talking about. This is an opportunity for us to add some new force to the Terrell Fire Department. Applications are due March 27th. There'll be testing on April 5th and physical agility on April the 12th. Pictures from Kaufman County Day. That's the big group at the bottom with all the county representatives, including the leadership class. And then you can see the mayor and Phil over there with their friend at the Capitol, and then with the legislators.
Important dignitaries that we
Hamburger.
met with.
Yes,
Couldn't find Mayor McCheese, so we settled for the Hamburglar.
there you go. So that was a good time. Then pictures from National League of Cities. And I believe that there was opportunities to meet with Lance Gooden while y'all were there, and also with the Union Pacific representatives. Okay, and then this goes back to Austin again. This is Angie Cooper and Sharon Harper went by the Texas Film Commission while we were there, and we were presented our film-friendly designation. And then that was presented again at the Chamber Luncheon last week. These are a couple of pictures from the Dr. Seuss celebration. There's always community readers. Our police chief is up there reading, and then we also had representatives from our Terrell Animal Shelter to adopt dogs and let the dogs visit with the participants. And the Kiwanis Club is a big part of this event every year because their focus is on the youth of our city. Here's some of the crisp and clean projects from our Public Services Department. This one was West University. It was the drainage clean out, a half a mile of ditches and trash cleanup. And then the next one is a utilities project on Daniels, which was stormwater management to mitigate the flooding, improve the water flow, and enhance the overall functionality of the drainage system in that area. So thanks to Glenn and his team for the completion of this project. These are a couple of projects that the Park and Downtown Improvement Corporation helped fund. Lula May Bistro, everybody's looking forward to the opening of that, hopefully by the 1st of April. And then right across the street here at the old Wells Fargo building, and I am not going to try to pronounce that, but Angie calls it Panda Burrito or something to that effect. So anyway, I like that pronunciation. I had to take Omira with me so she could tell me what things were, because I had no clue. But this is about to come to its conclusion, but this is our annual water system maintenance through the 31st, where people may notice some discoloration in their water. But this is just for us to determine if our water is meeting the standards that are set forth by North Texas Municipal Water District. So that'll conclude in another week or so. Here's some pictures from some of our staff who participated in the Boys to Men breakfast sponsored by TISD. I believe this is the second annual one of those events, and so You can see, who was it that told me they didn't know how to tie a tie and they had to have somebody, one of the kids show them? So anyway, I guess it works both ways. Okay. Then this is something new that our library is going to participate in this year. This is Library Giving Day as opposed to North Texas Giving Day. It's just one day set aside specifically for libraries. And so you can give any time between April the 1st or the 4th through the 4th. And our donations that we get here locally will go towards our new testing center, which is in the old depot across the street here. And these are just some of the statistics that are true for our library as well as a lot of other libraries in the Metroplex, that a lot of people, you know, that some people just still have that old school perception that libraries are just about books. But you can see here that, you know, our staff helps with job applications, with Wi-Fi use, with homework for kids. So anyway, if you want to make a contribution, there's some information there. And Becca can give you information on that as well. The Terrell Jubilee is coming up April 24th through the 27th. The Terrell Citizens Police Academy will be there. The canines, our new canines will both be there, I think, that day. And so go by and visit them at the booth, and thank y'all for sponsoring that. And then we had our little employee appreciation breakfast. Thank you to Sue for this idea. And it was a lot of fun, and we came and had a nice breakfast, and everybody visited. And so hopefully that'll be something that we'll repeat again soon. And then this is from last Friday. This was a ceremony honoring longtime band director Dana Skelton. The mayor was there to present a proclamation in Dana's honor. And Dana has been a very active community member for a long time, so I think that's very befitting that they should name that in his honor. He also is the person that assists with the E-Terrell shows at the Jamie Foxx Performing Arts Center. So he has done a lot for this community. He also is active in the Terrell Alliance, the Excellence Foundation. Thank you, Mayor. And then here's a couple of pictures from Telemundo's visit. I believe Mayrani and the mayor both were interviewed, as well as Sadie from the Chamber of Commerce. And some of the things that they plugged was our growth, but also they talked about the Taco Festival coming up on May 3rd, and then our work with legislators getting the portion of Highway 34 bridge that runs through Terrell to be designated as Officer Jacob Candenosa Memorial Highway. So we're all very excited about that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have any questions for me?
Allison.
Thank you, Allison.
You're welcome.
Great job. Next item on the agenda is 7.1, discuss and consider zoning board of adjustments, appointments, reappointments. This is going to be handled by our city secretary, Don Stile.
Mayor and council, I just spoke with Phil Robinson. He oversees the ZBA, and he would like to postpone this to the next meeting.
I believe currently, I think Councilwoman Velasquez and I are sort of poaching each other's members here for boards. The applicants we have, I think, are already going to be joining a different board, so we need to kind of look at some other applicants who might be in the community. If you're interested in serving on a board, please reach out, submit an application, but we're still looking for ZBA members.
So, Councilman, is that your motion to postpone?
Motion to postpone our appointment for the zoning board of adjustments.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Phil Robinson, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, District 5, a second from Donna Renee Anderson, District 2, to postpone the zoning board of adjustments, appointments, and reappointments. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously, vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.2, discuss and consider planning and zoning commission appointments and reappointments. Again, City Secretary Don Stahl.
Mayor and council, the Planning and Zoning Commission roster is in your packet. Randy Voigt is no longer on that board, so there is an open position, and this falls under the oversight of Mayrani Velasquez.
Okay. Councilwoman?
I'm going to make a motion to appoint Stephanie Garcia to serve as a Planning and Zoning Board Member, Commissioner.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, District 3, a second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem District 4, to appoint Stephanie Garcia to our Planning and Zoning Commission. Is there any further discussion?
So you really can't call it poaching when you made the call first, and this is the applicant's
Fair is fair.
preferred board.
Let's stop the infighting, please. All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.3, discuss and consider reappointment to the Library Advisory Board. Again, this is City Secretary Don Stahl.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the Library Advisory Board has one position that needs to be reappointed. Shantavia Chiefs would like to be reappointed to another term, and this falls under the oversight of Stephanie Holmes Thomas.
Okay, Councilwoman?
Yes, I make a motion to reappoint Ms. Shantavia Cheeves to the library board.
Okay, there's a motion by Stephanie Holmes Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem District 4. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem District 4, second from Phil Robinson, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 5, to reappoint Shantavia as a Library Advisory Board member. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of the president. Council, our next item, our agenda, consent agenda, we may do that all in one motion. Is there a motion for a consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Can I just ask, I want to make sure I know what everything is on this agenda. I was wondering.
Don't we have to wait for discussion?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I have a motion. Is there a second? The mayor's second. There's a motion by Phil Robinson, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 5, a second from the mayor to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor, the council member beat me to saying I wanted to pull 2 items for discussion.
We need to let this motion fail before we proceed.
Yes, so we're gonna have to vote it down. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye. You said
Aye.
You wanted to?
Oh, sorry, you said to approve, so nay.
Nay.
Wait. Let's start this all over. I got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. The nays?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, so it fails by a 3-2 vote. Now, there is a request to pull items. Which ones?
So pull item, sorry, my laptop died just before this item.
8.5,
It's, is it 8.5 and
5, 6, and 7.
because I'll make I'll pull them as well for Donna Renee wants 8.5, I think 8.6. Was that 8.7 that I heard? And I'm missing the one for Bryn Street. Okay, that's,
So the request is to pull 8.5, 8.6, and 8.7, and to take
Yes.
those individually? Is
yes.
that correct?
Yes.
All right, so is there a motion on the consent agenda for items 8.5? This is discuss and consider, so let's do this one. Hold on. We're going to do consent agenda items 8.1 through 8.4. Is there a motion on those?
And I think that would also.
And
include-
8.8.
And 8.8.
Can I have a motion on those?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve items 8.1
8.8 is.
through 8.4, and then also 8.8.
Is the,
I'll second it.
That's a motion to approve. And then, is there a second? Phil has a second. So we have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, District 3, a second from Phil Robinson, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, District 5, to approve 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.4, and 8.8. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, is 8.8 a part of, because it says Center Lift Station and Force Main improvements, is it a part of Project 19, is it a part of 8, 5, 6, and 7? Since it all is the Market Center Lift Station?
So just to provide clarity, 8.7 and 8.8 are the two linked together.
Okay,
Their Market Center lift station, which has been completed, we're just doing the paperwork to try and get it
But
accepted
so-
to meet Texas Water Development
Okay,
Board
so hold,
requirements.
wait, let's not get, so we have a motion for those items. Is there a motion to approve? Because if we're gonna pull another one, we're gonna have to, this motion's gonna need to fail, and we're gonna have to do it again. So,
Can I,
wait, we can't discuss. But are we at a discuss yet?
yeah?
No, because there was a motion made and a second.
And then-
Okay, let me do, yeah. Is there any further discussion? So we're discussing it right now. Do we want to pull one more?
Yes,
You want to pull 8.8?
yes.
Okay, so, can she? All right, okay, so let's take a vote.
can we not amend? Is that a? You can amend to remove 8.8 and so the rest can pass?
Do you want to amend?
Motion to amend the motion to remove 8.8.
Got it. Okay, so there's a motion, and then, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Phil Robinson, a second from Mayrani Velazquez to approve. To approve 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and 8.4, and remove 8.8 from this motion. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes? So we're pulling 8.8. All right, make sure everybody's on the same page. All those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Now, we will need to, Phil? Yes. So 8.5, discuss and consider contract for Rangeline Pipeline Services LLC to perform emergency water line repair at 1800 Town North.
Yes, this is a leak that has been occurring since mid-January. We finally were able to get a specialty contractor in, Rangeline Construction, to perform the necessary chipping, welding, and other services necessary to install a 16-inch valve in that line where that leak was occurring. It was considered an emergency because the pipeline had been leaking and was causing ice flows in the cold weather. It was a combination of Rangeland and city forces that dug the holes, pumped out the water, did the trench safety. We had assistance from another contractor, Cleburne Underground, to assist our staff when they were tired and threatened some injuries and stuff because they'd been working hourly nights, all that stuff. This contract is for their Rangelands Emergency Services of $102,659. And this will be funded out of the pay-as-you-go water fund since this was a water repair. And it's for services already done and performed in place. I'm asking for council approval because it was done after the fact and it is over $50,000. So I want to make sure council is aware of the money we had to spend to fix that repair.
So the repairs have been made, and they're
Correct.
complete, and they're done correctly.
Correct.
And there is no leak.
There is no leak anymore.
All right.
And we now have a valve in that line that we didn't have before, so that will just assist the city in its repairs and maintenance in the future,
To shut off water.
to shut off.
Okay, good. All right, anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Is this the repair that you had talked about earlier that was $35,000?
No, that was a
That's a
different.
town north. I mean, that's Kings Creek.
That was Kings Creek, and that one I did submit a report, but I don't think it got put into your packet. But we actually ended up staying at the same cost that I reported to you at the council meeting of a little over $20,000.
Okay.
So there was no increase over what you approved. So, and that has been paid to Elite and has been completed.
And this is a water repair, so it's coming out of our
Pay-as-you-go water fund.
water fund, pay-as-you-go water fund. Is that part of our utilities
Yes.
money, the water money that I don't like to touch?
Yes,
We're
but-
touching it because it's water.
Yes,
Correct.
emergency. It was an emergency.
I'm just
It
asking.
wasn't a plan, yeah, no, it
Okay.
wasn't planned, it was an emergency, yeah.
I remember this. This is in my district. I got a lot of calls and complaints. People's water was off and on.
Yeah, and it would leak all the way down to North Francis.
Yes, it was horrible. I appreciate the staff taking care of it and getting this taken care of. With the shut-off that's there and the valve that's there, that'll just help us cut off the water where it doesn't just affect as many customers or?
Correct. It basically gives us control so that we can now shut it off so that we won't drain the poultry tank and maintain pressure in other areas if we have another leak in that area. Because that line was built in 1959, 60. The next agenda item actually has a location map that shows the routing alignment. But that line, the existing gate valves that are in there are so old and do not work. The bypass valves don't work. So we are trying to restore that line, and we also have the additional complication of the Texas State Hospital doing their improvements, and we want to make sure that we have the valves in place to be able to control that line and not impact citizens after the valves are installed. We are going to have a definite impact when we want to install these two new valves that are part of the next agenda item, because it is a large area of Terrell, and the valves, we are basically playing hunt and peck, trying to find valves that'll close and shut down that line so we can actually make the new cut-ins and welds and all that stuff. But this emergency repair has been completed, and I'm asking council approval to authorize the city manager to execute that contract so I can get them paid.
Okay. Do you know about how long it'll take us to pay for this project? I'm curious, like what the.
We do have the funds in our emergency pay-as-you-go project, so as soon as we authorize, they'll get paid, hopefully quicker, sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, nope, all right. Is there a motion for 8.5, contract with Rangeline Pipeline Services? Is this not to exceed a number of, what was it, 102?
Yeah, there are final
102,
invoices attached,
659.
so, yeah, 102, 659.
Okay,
Motion to approve emergency contract of $102,659 for Rangeline Pipeline Services, LLC repairs to Terrell's 18-inch RCCP at 1800 Town North Drive in February 2025.
motion, is there a second? We have a motion from Phil Robinson, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 5, a second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem District 4, to approve the Rangeline Pipeline Services LLC to perform emergency water line repair at 1800 North Town North Drive in an amount not to exceed $102,659. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of the president. Our next item on the agenda is 8.6, discuss and consider water line repair contract for Rangeline Pipeline Services LLC at 309 and 1200 East Bryn Street. Again, go ahead.
Yes, this is a similar contract, except if I'm going to turn to the location map right here. As you can see, the dark line starts at our existing water treatment plant that's on the north side of Highway 80. The black line runs through Bryn Street and up North Francis and all the way up to the Poetry Elevated Tank. That whole line was constructed in 1969. There are limited valves on it, so we are asking for council approval for an amount up to $150,000 for Rangeline Construction to do the necessary cut-ins to install two new valves. The city already owns the valves, so we're not having to buy those. We've had them in stock for a couple of years, knowing that we wanted to do this. The development of the new state hospital buildings at Terrell State Hospital is a driving factor in getting these done this year, preferably in the April, May, June timeframe. But in order to install those valves, we are going to be shutting down a large portion of North Terrell for probably, we're going to try and coordinate this and try and get it in one day or less if we can. But it's construction. We don't know what we're going to see when we start digging. So we are asking, right now their budget is little over $100,000 for this work, but we're asking for approval up to $150,000 so that if there's any change orders, we don't have to come back to you and delay this construction. We'd like to be able to proceed and get this done. Once we start, we don't want to stop. But it is a very similar construction process as to what the previous item is.
Okay.
And at this point, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Again, council, this is a not-to-exceed number of $150,000. Is there any questions?
I just, I'm wondering, Mike might remember this, because I got a call, it's been 2 years, maybe a little longer. And there was a community member noticed in the district that the ground was much softer than, and it was in the summer, much softer than it needed to be. And then staff dug a deep hole, of course, to try to reach the leak. And then staff and a contractor were out there that day and the next day, and they were trying to make sure we could turn off the valves and trying to make sure that they could find the appropriate keys to the valves, and it was just, it was something else. So I want to make sure that I'm supportive of helping address the older infrastructure that we have in that area. I know it's something that staff share that has been needed for some time, and it sounds like we're also being proactive with, we don't know what could happen when the Terrell State Hospital continues to do their project, once they project, and making sure that we can have valves to turn off.
They're going to make a major tie-in to that same line, be at their cost, not the city's cost, but we want to make sure that we can actually shut the line down, and that's the reason for why we are installing these two valves. Specifically for that reason, but also provides backup for the city, since that is a major transmission line. We really want to be able to shut it off if we would have a catastrophic break somewhere in the system. We do not want to drain the Poetry tank or the south elevated storage tanks, because once we do that, we go below 20 pounds per square inch in pressure. Now we are on a boil water notice and handing out bottled water to whoever doesn't have water. And Terrell went through, not Terrell, but Louisville went through that recently, Ennis went through that recently. It is no fun. So we want to be very proactive and get these valves in sooner rather than later. So I really would like to get council approval tonight to execute this contract, because there is a time frame. They've got to order materials. We've got to get it in. It's a 3-week, 4-week lead time. Then we got to schedule the shutdowns. So the sooner we can start, the sooner we can make sure we get this done before Terrell State Hospital does their tie-in, which they're looking at June or July of this year.
So,
Thank you.
DJ, I appreciate the work that you do. I really do. But there was one statement that is written in the background information that you've had those valves for 4 years.
Yes,
Now, so this is before your time. So back then, when we got the 4, we spent money, got 4 valves, and they sat on the shelf.
because we didn't have the money to pay for the installation costs.
But we got
Because
the
this
valves.
contractor, this specialty type contractor is normally at least $100,000 per,
And so we didn't have the money back then.
correct.
So we have the money now.
We are using the emergency funds at Water Pay-As-You-Go,
That pay-as-you-go, coming out of my water money.
yes.
And
Because
now it's important because of the state hospital coming in, and we've got to get these valves done.
Yes.
I just want to make a note that I have a problem with something sitting on the shelf for 4 years and the city not doing anything with it. And I cannot
I
say
agree.
us and them, it's me going, so that part, I agree that we need to get it done. I have indigestion that it sat on the shelf for 4 years.
I do too, but it was one of those where I talked to Mike McKeska about it.
Yep.
And the staff has been wanting to get these valves installed for years, but nobody wanted to pull the trigger to say, here's what the cost is going to be. So I made the decision this year to say, we're going to use the pay-as-you-go water fund. It's going to be a project, and we've got to get these valves in. It's going to be a long-term benefit, and I think the city will see a return of hopefully less water leaks and less water loss at $5.64 per 1,000 gallons. When it runs for 6 weeks, that's a lot of water that's going down the street that we're paying for.
That is true. Thank you.
DJ, quick question for you. This may be a Mike question. I don't know for sure, but being that the state hospital is tying into our line, we're having our citizens pay for this. Were there any impact fees available or anything that might, or maybe even state funding or grant funding that could help us to accommodate this change?
We have spent a lot of time and effort in the last 2 years trying to convince the state hospital team to pay for expenses of this type. They have been unwilling to do so, and so I am 100% confident that we have played that negotiating and lobbying effort out. From their point of view, they're spending $570 million building a new hospital, and they'd like us to pay for the off-site water improvements, and they don't have any legal obligation to pay for anything off their site. So it is frustrating. It is not what our goal was. We did put a lot of effort into that. We did ask Keith Bell to help us, and he did put effort into it also, but we just weren't able to get any success in that attempt.
Thanks.
I have a question. Just with the valves that we have, they're functional and they're
Yes,
working?
like I said, we installed one of those that had been stored, and the other one, yes, we make sure they work, they open, they close fully before they are even dropped in the hole. We make sure that they work and are operating properly, because nothing worse than putting a valve in that doesn't work.
And I'm trying to get the dollar amount. I'm trying to see, I know we may ask for a little more, but what is it? Is it the 81,100? Am I looking at the wrong?
For this particular project, you have to add the 12,000, the 12,000, the 2,600, the 6,2, and then the 81,000 that's on top. So you did combine all four of those numbers, and that comes up to a little over $100,000. On page 5 of 14. You got the 81,000 on the top line, and then the 12,000, the 3,600, and the 6,200. And that's, right now, that is their cost, that if we sign the contract, that's what they are going to bill us. The other additional funds that I'm asking the city council to do is for unknowns. If for some reason it's deeper than they thought, or the pipe needs more welding, or there's something else that comes up that we don't know, because we're digging stuff that's been buried for 60 years. And one of them's over by 309 East Bryn, which is real close to Highway 34. And the other one's in that curve over by the state hospital. Hospital's done a lot of work over the years. We don't know what's there.
Okay. So that's about maybe 49,000 extra.
That's what
Again, the request is so that you don't have to come back to council and you can
Right.
keep working. Remember, we're going to be 24 hours down for a big portion of the city. Are we going to give notice to the city that is going to occur? And we need to make sure we give them
Yeah,
ample time.
we're gonna work with Allison on the public notice and get it on the different
Okay.
social sites. Also, we have door hangers that we'll hand out, and we definitely want to make sure we get the businesses that are medically or senior citizens or whatever, we want to give them at least 72 hours notice.
Is 24 hours best case scenario or worst case scenario?
I'm hoping worst case scenario.
Okay.
I asked that question because I just don't want any money to get lost. 50 grand is 50 grand. I know there are some projects we can do for 50 grand. So
Yes.
that's why I asked that question that way, to ensure that if we don't use it, it's there and we don't lose it.
Correct.
trying to-
No, it stays in the water pay-as-you-go fund.
I
What
think-
we do is we will encumber it with, and give a purchase order to Rangeland for their basic services. And then any other work will be additional purchases as they invoice us or as the work gets authorized. And Glenn Caldwell would be overseeing this work.
When the project is complete, we'll get a running tally of the money.
Correct. We can do
Exact-
that.
The exact dollar amount, okay. All right. Is there a motion on 8 point?
Staff make note of that we'll get an update on this when we finish, please.
Happy to do so.
8.6?
Motion to approve let me just go ahead and read the motion. Motion to authorize the city manager to execute a contract for $804,000 with Rangeline Pipeline Services LLC to insert 2 to 16-inch gate valves in Terrell's 18-inch RCCP at 3809 and 1200 East Sprint Street, not to exceed $150,000 for unexpected field conditions.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, District 3, a second from Stephanie Holm Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem District 4, to approve the contract with Rangeline Pipeline Services in amount not to exceed $150,000 for services. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of the president. Our next item on the agenda, 8.7, discuss and consider Terrell Project 19-18 Market Center Lift Station and Force Main Improvements Construction Project Acceptance and Authorization to release retainages. Again, DJ.
Yes, this project has been completed for a little over a year. We were waiting for Texas Water Development Board to actually do an on-site inspection and write a acceptance report. They finally did that last month in mid-April, actually late February, early March. We do have a deductive change order of $9,105.78 that revised the contract amount, which is why we're coming to you for approval. And Texas Water Development Board does require City Council to accept the city improvements, and that's one of the documentation that we need to submit in order to release retainage to the contractor. So the final retainage amount that we've already encumbered is going to be $109,478.90. And upon your approval, those funds will be released to FM Utilities and complete their scope of work.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for DJ on this item? Is there a motion on 8.7?
Motion to approve item 8.7 as presented.
Have a motion
Second.
from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, a second from Phil Robertson to approve the Project 19-18 Market. Is that the one we're on? Yeah. Am I 8.7? Yeah.
8.7.
The Terrell Project 19-18 Market Center Lift Station and Force Main Improvements. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
So the 109,000 and some change is for work that has been completed.
Yes, as part of a normal construction project, and to make sure the contractor completes everything, for every invoice that they submit, say they submit a $100,000 invoice, the contract will spell out whether it's a 5, 10, 15, or 20% retainage. In this particular case, it was 5%. We would pay them $95,000, and we would retain $5,000 until the project is completed and accepted. The second invoice of $200,000, we would pay them $190,000, or $190,000, retain $10,000, so now the retainage is $15,000, and we do that for every pay estimate for this project, and that's what we've done with FM Utilities.
And this is coming out of our utilities fund.
Yes, and it also was partially
Just-
funded by our Texas Water Development Board.
Right.
Okay.
There was a previous CO, which was a borrow from the Texas Water Development Board.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, any further discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of the president. Next item on the agenda is 8.8. Discuss and consider award of change authorization number 3 to Freeze and Nichols, Inc. for TR 19-18 Market Center Lift Station and Force Main Improvements, Texas Waterman Board, Project 73807.
Yeah, this particular contract is with Freeze and Nichols, who was the design engineer and construction manager for the Market Center Lift Station. Because of the additional year worth of delay and the amount of prodding and paperwork and follow-up paperwork that they needed to get from FM Utilities, they spent time and effort over and above their initial budget. The time delay of a year is extreme for a project like this, and they have only asked for $30,000 additional fee. And in talking with staff and city management, we have agreed that $30,000 is a fair and equitable adjustment to their contract. So we are recommending that change authorization number 3 of $30,000 be approved, bringing the total amount of Freeze and Nichols contract to $404,934, which would close out this account and this project.
Got it. Anybody have any question for DJ?
Am I understanding this, the original contract was $68,000, but we had to do some additional work that required this change authorization, the 3? What, tell me, go through that again, especially the first and second one.
Yeah, the Market Center Lift Station is, most design contracts like this are done in stages. So the initial $68,300 was a preliminary planning study, trying to identify where's the flows, where's the best place to put the Market Center Lift Station, how much land is required, et cetera. Give us, City of Terrell, a operational projected construction cost. And so that was the first phase. The second phase is to do preliminary design, which is to do sizes, number of pumps, verify that what space is required. The authorization number 2 was to actually do final design and construction management for the project, which takes it to getting the Texas Water Development Board and TCQ approval, doing the bidding, and doing all the other things that are necessary to actually get the contractor on site, build it, inspect it, make sure all the submittals met the plans and requirements. And so their intent was to stop at authorization number 2. But because of the delay of a year, we're asking for $30,000 of additional fee to compensate them partially for their efforts. I'm sure they spent more than $30,000.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Is there a motion on 8.8?
Motion to approve item 8.8 as presented.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Phil Robinson, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 5, a second from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, District 3, to approve change authorization number 3 for $30,000 to Freeze and Nichols, Inc., contract in an amount not to exceed $404,934. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes?
So, DJ, you know I don't like math, but I'm looking at this project originally was, so the original contract was for design,
For a preliminary
look into,
feasibility.
and there have been some delays, and now we don't want to spend more than $404,000. So where is the money coming from?
The only additional funds would be the $30,000. All the other has already been paid.
Paid.
And
This is an additional 30.
Correct.
Okay.
And that
And that's coming out of the,
sewer
Water
PAYGO
Development.
fund, probably.
There you go.
It's coming out of the Texas Water Development Board funding that we have.
Okay. Is there any way for someone to tell me how that affects our reserve, PUC reserve?
The
Payments made out of the Texas Water Development Fund, grant funds, have already been reflected. They're reflected in your overall rate structure because they are debt that the city took on several years ago when the city went to the Texas Water Development Board and requested a loan for this project.
Okay, so this is coming out of a CO,
Yes, ma'am.
and it's been paid, and we're paying it back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we want to take, we're going to give them $30,000.
Correct.
Okay,
We are going to compensate them $30,000 for services they provided.
okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Again, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously for the present. Council, we have next on our agenda information reports. They are the racial profiling report of 2024, the police department monthly report, and also the fire department monthly report. I would ask that you reach out to staff for any updates on those or any clarity that you may need regarding those monthly reports. Our next item is to adjourn into executive session in accordance with Section 551 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. Section 551.074 personnel matters. Section 551.087 deliberations regarding economic development negotiations. We are now in executive session.